One of the problems with reporters that unless they're intimately familiar with the situation, or for example, they live in a town where an incident has happened, reporters unfortunately have gotten so lazy, they're not really investigators anymore. They roll into town when a politician comes in and they find out what the person is going to talk about, and they ask them questions revolving around that particular subject. So it kind of makes it easy for the politician to talk. Since we live in the area, it is a lot easier to ask questions that are pertinent to the situation. These are my questions to J.D. Vance, who at this point I like, and I hope he steps up to the plate.
So still, when I go in our creek 2 miles down, the chemicals that are lipid soluble are
Yep.
sitting on the bottom of the creek. So we're worried about some rain on this dirt here,
Yep.
but there's 24/7 water on top of these chemicals.
Sure.
And I can still pick up the rocks and chemicals just boil right up.
Yeah.
So what can be done?
Well, look, I mean, we clearly still have a lot of cleanup that needs to happen. And unfortunately, so long as you have the toxic dirt just sitting out there, it's going to continue to leach into the soil and it's going to continue to cause problems. Now, of course, you have the waterways that have already been contaminated. My understanding is that there are aggressive cleanup efforts underway, but it's going to take some time and it's going to take longer if you continue to let this toxic dirt just sit on the ground. Again, the volume that we're talking about, I mean, you guys have probably been there, but if you haven't, it's worth actually going out there. It looks like a tiny mountain of toxic dirt that has not been moved out of this community. You've got to solve that problem.
Lastly,
Okay,
just
please.
a follow up. So I've been down the creek a bunch, once a week,
Sure.
and I've never seen anybody there. Is there cleanup for where the creek is down there? The version of cleanup, meaning letting the rapids just take, solution to pollution is dilution.
Well, I'd be curious to sort of to follow up about where you're talking about, where you still have chemicals
Oh,
in the water.
yeah.
and
2
you
miles
don't
down
have
going into
cleanup, because,
Negley.
like, what I'm thinking is, for example, just actually, if you head out directly right behind here, you have these sort of aeration that they're trying to use to try to get the chemicals out of the water. My understanding is that there should be things like that all across some of the contaminated waterways. If there aren't, that's a problem. That's something we need to follow up on too.
Okay.
Yeah, sir.
I have a question. I think you called it aeration. Do you happen to know, because I can't really get an answer on what the theory is, how the aeration actually gets rid of the chemicals out of the creek?
No, I'm certainly not scientifically literate enough to guess how that works. My understanding is that certain of the chemicals are allegedly, when they're exposed to air, as opposed when they're sort of separated from the water, that will make it more likely that they burn off.
Well, that was-
I don't know if that's true,
Yeah.
but that's certainly the claim that I've heard.
That was my and a lot of citizens' concerns, that you were taking chemicals from one form in the creek to putting them into the air, aerating. So I guess it's something we got to look into.
Okay.
At a recent town hall meeting, the Ohio EPA rep said these are definitely not aerators. These are creek bed agitators. So from now on, these are officially known as "you are so stupid and naive, East Palestine people throw water in the air, fountain-looking things." Early on, we were told not to take showers and to take baths if there was a potential of having chemicals in our water, because the shower head will vaporize the chemicals in your water and it is more apt to go into your lungs and damage your lungs from the chemicals. I ask you people of East Palestine, what do these look like?